Welcome. I am Crime Queen, and if you are joining us for the first time, it's the channel where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. This is where we actualize self-love with references from the scriptures, King James Version. It has to be King James Version. We are really clinical about that. Why are we clinical about King James's version of the Holy Bible? Because that's the Bible, I believe, is responsible for a lot of the shapes and figures and structures and our own bedrock of how we have been shaped, basically how we exist, so how we relate, so how we think, how we behave, and our family structures and the whole dynamics. I believe that is responsible, and it's not saying that it has been good or bad, but it has been a manual, if you like, that has been written in a way that easily that renders a degree of it renders a degree of manipulation in its way, in the way it's been written. Now, I say that because that's what I had known. But of course, I suppose I can't say that because until I had delved into the scriptures myself, I couldn't see any other way that I could really put it. Of course, the one thing it has maintained is seek wisdom, and when you seek it, wear it as though it were a chain, very, I think, tight around your neck or something to that effect. Now that, while I have made references on that before, and while I am thinking of that, is there's a dichotomy in this very statement, because if you wear something around your neck as well, of course, being it wisdom and external, something that one should really desire, it means that you are the subject or object for abuse or threats. Now we see that, of course, has been the case with a lot of people who have been suppressed because they have been the subject of that which, of course, has been a threat to other people. Okay, other people, other nations, and so on. Now, but as I just said in one of my presentations, which I've just done because I'm going on this little marathon, I hope. And so I was on my screen and I saw this a bull came up. Now I don't know if you do that, but I think there's a great intelligence behind this, that what they put these pictures of whatever the screensavers on there, and of course they'll ask you if you're a fan, and you click it, and of course they get to know exactly what you like. And of course it's not so difficult to know that I like animals. So there's I think it happens for most people, but we must remember that a lot of our structures, a lot of our makeup has been derivative of the characteristics of the animals. So of course there's that link. It's so we're not estranged to them. We are, like, for instance, I'm a bull in the sense of course, astrologically, it's the makeup of the bull that makes one a bull. It's the month of May, and it's the spring or summer, and it's just happy being on the grass and eating grass and lying on the grass. That's what bull does. And I keep saying bulldoze and bulldogs. I think there's a relationship in those words as well. And the bull, of course, it studies you, doesn't it? I mean, I have had bulls looked at me that reminded me that I am a bull myself. I had to say to it, look, I am just like you. Why are you looking at me like that? So that's the bull for you, and he will be studying you. So what caught my eye about this bull on the screen, I looked at it and I thought, well, why are you looking at me like that? And why have you just decided to show up at this very minute while I'm ready, getting ready to do my presentations? Because then I realized, well, we are two bulls, and I wasn't going to just back down for that bull. Well, sometimes bulls are just really playing and messing around. So then I looked at him. There's always the thing about you can't see what's underneath your nose, so to speak, meaning something can be so close to you that you miss it. Now, I am always conscious about this statement. That's why when things are presented, I'm thinking, well, I ask the question, well, what is in there for me? What is in it for me? So the bull, of course, there's the bull. Oh, I'm not so sure my lighting this tonight. I've got to try and do something that I hope is going to be more effective. But there's the bull. Okay. And so I thought, well, yeah, then I realized, yeah, that it's his nose. His nose is not really typically like us on the or mouth, you know. It's his nose, it protrudes, doesn't it? What I want to say is that of course, like I made a reference, you can't see what's underneath your nose. Of course, that would be for the bull as well, but it would still mean that he knows that he cannot see what's under his nose. See, he knows. He's about knowing. The bull is about knowing. I think it is said that the Taurus represents the midbrain, or a part of course, because that's why they had in the end in Genesis, in the story of Moses, for instance, one time they were worshiping the bull, and another time they were worshiping the ram. So, and the ram, of course, lamb. Here we have the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, which is Christ who came. And of course, the lamb is meant to be more timid. Now, I have got what I consider a brilliant presentation on the bull and the lamb. So if you see anything about bull and lamb on the Crimea Queen, I would say to watch it. Because what it is that I found out while the horns of the bull is going this way, the ram is going the other way, and the ram, of course, spirals as well in some cases. But then that was God really showing heaven and earth, up and down, in and out, and those kinds of things. So it was really a depiction of the whole. These are things that people do not talk about. Everything has a time and a season. So at one time when showing or teaching about the bull and worshiping the bull, and of course because we are creatures of habits, that Moses did not really like that the children of Israel was still worshiping that bull, and all they wanted was the bull, because the bull represents the earth where it milks. They could milk it. They could actually milk it, which is what happens, as I have said, made references like particularly, say, in the black culture, they are in the color black. But I ought not to even be timid about putting things right. So in the B here, which is a construct of the number 13. And I have done this several times, but just to say, if you do see that, you will know. So it's the 13. So that, of course, is also a depiction of the cow's teats, because that's what, if you look at it this way, the cow really has 4 nipples. So there it is. We are getting one side. This is one side of the cow will having its nipple. Now, in Genesis as well, there are 2 sets of 13s. Hence the number 26 that the Jews also consider to be the number of God. So basically, we are saying, like he, this is where the word he, which equals 13, And of course, we see the God as well done a he, him. There would be two he's in that sense, whichever way we see it. But then there's 26. So there it's like looking at two sides of a coin to make the whole. And that would be in direct correlation with the 4 nipples of the cow, which would give that milk. And we see it right here in that sort of presentation here, right here. So that symbol carries a lot of meaning. So of course they wanted that milk, and then Moses of course would say, well, you guys are gonna get milk and honey where we're going. Don't worry about the cow and son. And there was lots going on. So, but back to the to this, it's like Moses had to get into an agreement. That would be the agreement to get the equal sign, come to an equal part or understanding or language with the children of Israel, so that they could now, of course, form that bond, that agreement. There's that bond, and they could move on. Now, this is the sort of agreement or dynamics that has happened and is still happening in our world. This is why it is said the number 13 is done for all different kinds of it. It carries a lot of connotation to it. So wherever you are coming into agreement, which is just like in the story of Christ with the disciples, they were 12, and then Christ would be 13. So when, of course, at the communion of breaking bread, which equals 21, which is the 3, 2 plus 1 is 3, and breaking bread, and of course giving of the wine and saying, as long as you participate in this, remember me. So that bond would keep intensified. So basically, Christ would have understood that every so often one is able to drift away from what they have agreed on, but it's the practice that intensifies the bond. Hence, at one time he said, a friend is even better than a brother, because although the word brother, I think he was making that comparison for the B word again. So basically the friends, they can go their separate ways and they become 3 or 13, but after a while they go somewhere else. This is what anchoring is about, and there's where Mother Eve comes into play as well. So they go to a restaurant, for instance, and they found out, oh, they're serving the bread that came from the very same bakery, that the bread that Christ had eaten of had supplied Christ. So now they have that they remember what happened, and so they decide, oh wow, and then all the emotions and feelings are returned, and remembering, oh, I wonder what happened to John. I wonder what happened to well, they knew what happened to Judas. Or I wonder what happened to James, and I wonder what happened to this one. And they start writing and finding out, and then they get together. Remember, when you do this, you know, remember me, remember me. That's why Paul was always writing letters. Let us, which is let us, spirit of sound mind. Letters, now I've just got it. Letters really is saying let us. You are going into agreement. You are proposing when you are writing. You are making suggestions. You are telling. You are saying, let us communicate. And that's what Mother Eve is about. This is why Mother Eve was saying, let us make man in our own image and likeness. Now, from the entries Mother Eve had done, where she had these 8 entries, which is here: let there be light, let there be a firmament, let there be waters, let there be the earth, let there be lights, and so on. There were 8 entries here, and then towards the end she says, let us. So that tells me that this is again, we could say, it's the derivative or the source of where letters, we could say letters came into play, because it's like letters is saying let us. So there's the two-way thing is happening here, because that's why she's able to let the business to the other gods, which is the eight gods. It's the eighth god that she really was giving it, the eighth god. She was giving the eighth god the raw nature of what she was about. Because Mother Eve is really smart. She's really, really clever. She's like doing this cycle, and she knows, you know, towards the end, it's going to be like something that, you know, is going to be testing and trying, and, you know, and once she wants to fine tune things, and everything is going to come to the surface. So she is being like really transparent here, and she's saying, okay, right, let us make man in our image and likeness. Now she already knows that he's going to go and do a he, him, a female, a male, and a he, them. Now I keep going between 5 and 4 of these. So he would do a he, so in his image and likeness. So he done a he, him. So he made he, him. And so it's 4. He, him, male, female, and he, them. So it's 4. Okay. So in case you have come across other videos where I said it's 5, although I have endeavored to put that right, but that's what happened. But in Genesis of chapter 2 or 3, we see that the man and the woman was not done by the Creator, because the Creator is a reactor. That's another thing we need to be very mindful of. He's a reactor. He's reacting from what was already done. He has gone through the structures, and he has to follow certain protocol to some extent. So he's not really an inventor. He's a creator. He's a reactor. And which is why we are told like nothing is new under the sun. So we are talking about 7 cycles of human, of 6 different species we have been. Well, so when you look at yourself in the mirror and you hear that you are the number 6, the number of man, that is the derivative of 6 different species within your makeup. That's what no one has told you. But right now, through the spirit of Mother Eve, that is what I am telling you right now. So that would give us, and I think Mother Eve is really wanting people to know this now, so we get a perspective about how the gods are really moving and forming, making, breathing, and those different aspects, how they are, how the dynamics of the God within us. So while I am saying this, it is very important in this sense that, of course, we become conscious about how we breathe, how we formed, how are we formed, and what are we making, how whatever it is that is made, what are we planting, because the 5 gods in this sense, in the latter stage, I think they are crucial in the sense, because that's where the planting is. So the landscape has been done. The Garden of Eden is there and ready to plant, and that's what it is about. Hence, Mother Eva said, let us make man in our image and likeness. But the Creator, no, he made he, him. As I say, he made female, male, and he, them. Of course, all of those, let's not be mistaken, are characteristics or the seed of Mother Eve herself. But as I say, it would be that it's like someone is subletting. That's the word, letting, and sublet might be a very appropriate term, because we are the subjects And of course, there's the person who is subletting to accommodate the subjects. We were really a result of some experiment. So nothing is new under the sun. So that Sophia that is done now is not really a new thing, because what is important for us to remember, the seed of that experimentation has been seeped into our world, because we are the makeup of that which we are the expression of that which we had been created by, or for, or with, or around, however you want to put it. So that result, however, we have got a comfort in that. Remember that the woman and the man had been the lineage of generations before. It's as if that the woman really cannot be destroyed, particularly the woman, because it was the woman now when Adam was given his wife, and then he was able to say, now I have got a woman who is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, because he was man. But we need to remember that he was not the first man. We are talking about there were other Eves around, because Mother Eve, now I would say, and I am spiritually guided to say, that while Adam, the story of Adam is very pronounced in the story that we have learned, there were 14 Eves. Now I'm believing that there were 14 Eves. I'm believing from the scriptures and the insights on how I am guided, we had that 14 Eves. So one of the Eves, of course, had produced, and we're talking about Eve. The Eve today, when it said that Adam was put to sleep and a rib was taken out of him. What is a rib? He was put to sleep. We still use the term today about sleeping with someone. Having sex with someone is sleeping with someone. And the rib of whatever that was taken out. So we see what could have happened in those cases. Or how the Eves came about. Because Mother Eve, of course, which, of course, is the said God, if we listen to the story carefully, is the one who gave Adam his wife. That reminds me, gave Adam his wife. Now, wife equals 7. And there we are talking about 7, and 7 comes to the whole. So wife equals 7. I'm not sure about husband, but wife equals 7. So 7 is also a word when we say and it also equals 2. When we do the numerical value for 7, this is the other thing the Bible has not, no one tells you this, that the words, while they are written, there had been laws or rules in the English language that when numbers, I think less than 10, should not be considered, or they should be written. They should be written. So, but no one tells you that there is the gem in this. So if you're writing words and you say 7 in a paragraph, you ought to write the word 7 and not the number 7. Of course, we have that, we are versatile with that, but that's the English rule. So nowadays in numerology, or doing this sort of work, people are not really paying attention. Well, those I know of are not really paying attention to that there is a numerical value for 7 this way that says 1, 5, which has Mother Eve in it, because Mother Eve She is the serpent. She is the snake. And so she puts herself in the middle of the seven, hoping that you come and find her there. So there we are, 4, 5, 5. And as I say, where you see those 3 5s is Mother Eve. So this is 2. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20. So this is 2. 2 is rock. 2 is rock. 2 is foundation. 2 is south, where you plant. 2 is also the number that was given to Sarah when she was pronounced she was going to be with child. If you know the story of Abraham, the father of nations, and his wife was 90. There's the other thing. People are saying, oh, 90 and she had a child. Do the math. So the word 90, she was 90 and she was of age. She was of age. We still use the same term to describe a 2-year-old child. We use the word 2-year-old. We use those words. And people are not thinking 90. So, I just love this. I just love this. And I love to be able to share this because, anyway, so this is 10, 15, and that would be 15 and 9 would be 24. 24 plus 7 would be 31, and 2 would be 31, 32, 33. So that would be 6. So basically 6, 33. So there's the thing. I hadn't done this before. I hadn't done this before. Isn't that the same time when Christ died at 33? That's what I mean about all the stories are very, very linked together. So there she was with child, and there she had her son, of course, was the father of nation, meaning 12 tribes. Doesn't that correspond with the 12 zodiac signs? Meaning just like the story of Christ. Oh my God, this is delicious. This is absolutely delicious. It's the same thing. Christ had 12 disciples and died at the age of 33. And so it's like the reverse. This is what we are talking about. It's like the reverse, like the two things have come together, two sides of the same coin. And so, of course, Sarah, of course, this is delicious. This is delicious. Sarah, of course, and that there was the story about she laughed, which equals, the word laugh equals 22. We could see that means the double vibration. It's like two stories have now met together. She laughed, and it said, I think it's about 3 times that she laughed. So that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. If we were to add each 22, so that would be so 22 is 4, so 4 times 3 is 12. I mean, I have done presentations on the subject, but this is the thing. When we ask the question, we do get the answers. I had watched Santos Bonacci, and I think he has a lot, and I just felt, well, some of what he's saying, but then I felt it was a little bit over my head, and then I could not. Of course, I'm sure some seeds were planted, but there was the desire for me to understand what he was saying. Now, I'm sure a lot of what he's still saying, even with all what I am discovering, is still, something I would have to ponder on to really make sense of. But now I am saying, and it's like the past couple days, it feels like I have done a quantum leap right into the Bible. It's like all the stories have just been meshing so well. As I said, it's the story of the tower, for instance, Babylon, and we had learned this upside down, but I won't go into that right now. It's wonderful, but back to Sarah. That's why we hear about, and I've been saying on some of my presentations, remember to laugh, and remember to smile, because smile is 22, and of course the word smile equals miles. It's like saying, how far can you go when you smile? But yes, how far can you go is that you can get into your pineal gland. It's with that 22, because 2 plus 2 is 4. Of course, this is where the agreement comes. This is where Sarah would have to buy into the agreement when the angel had come to say to her, you're going to be with child. She had to come to a stage of course, we heard she was behind the door. No wonder there's a B here as well. But she represents this stage here. And of course, to move into the other stage, which is the hour here, and the hour is really number 9, the beginning. It's the beginning, like maybe when she gave birth. I think Isaac, I have done the numerical value for Isaac, and it may be 20 as well. I'm going to review that. But of course, we see that number 20 and is where God had changed her name from Sarai to Sarah. Now, I'm saying I'm going to do something on name change, because I feel that the vibrations, there's a message saying that the vibrations of the utterances of the sounds that we create is what really forms the shape of what we are endeavoring to achieve. So anyway, I'm going to the deliciousness of the cow, of course. I just thought I'd go back to this somehow. Maybe it's saying to us to keep our horns high, but what I do like about this is that, and I like the way it was as well, it was like a Rastafarian cow. It had dreadlocks. So it helped me to remember that I know, it's like I'm remembering, it's like I get a sense like I've been in the Garden of Eden and I'm having this conversation with Mother Eve. I am really one of the Eves, or one of the 14 Eves. Now, I say that. If you watch some of my videos on where I have spoken about the number 14, this is the other thing, because I keep saying I'm one of 14 children, and that really, and we're talking about 14 Eves. I leave you with this. The synchronicities are just so much. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you like this, and I hope you will subscribe to the Crime Queen channel, because we are doing a new thing. We are turning the coin the other way. We are finding out the engravement on the date that it was set, like the God set. There was a God set actually. And actually that God set is also a mythical God. And so we are looking at those things, and we are seeing how we are now counterbalancing the scales of judgment. Thank you. Yeah, do like and subscribe. As I've said, we are planting new seeds, and spill over with love.